afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Hailey.
I'm just kidding.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Hailey.
And I'm John.
We are from Intelligent Concrete, and today we are talking about concrete versus timber.
Now, we're being very, very specific when we ask the question. Hailey, do you want to just run through that question?
Yep.
And it's in...
Yep. Is it more sustainable over 40 years to build a 4-lane bridge going over a quarter-mile span out of timber or out of concrete?
Fantastic. Ding! You forgot to do the ding. Ding!
Ding!
Oh, ding! So, not that we're trying to be comics or anything, but it's a very serious question. I mean, something that we hear oftentimes is that concrete is the devil. Cement production accounts for anywhere between 3 and 8% of the world's CO2 emissions, which is not a lie. I mean, to make cement, you have to take calcium carbonate, heat it until you liberate CO2, so you're left with calcium oxide, which is the hydraulic component of cement. We cannot get past that. But to suggest that concrete is the devil incarnate and that it needs to be replaced, it begs the question, okay, if we were to build a 4-lane bridge that went over a quarter-mile span, what other material could we use that is sustainable? And from the options that we looked at, timber
Steel, but
would be the most sustainable. Steel, we use steel in concrete because concrete is the more sustainable option than steel.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Now, the first question was, when replacing it and building this type of structure, could we actually use timber to make this type of structure?
I'm sure you could.
Absolutely. You could do whatever you want.
We
But
need lots of weatherproofing. A lot.
lots of weatherproofing, a lot of timber, especially in the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the next question. Look at the Tappan Zee Bridge in upstate New York. That's somewhere around Cold Springs or Bear Mountain area. I mean, that had timber foundations too, and they just replaced it, and that was a few decades old. So you can, and that I think was a 4-lane highway or 2-lane highway. So you theoretically can. So my next question is, could you use timber to create the same type of infrastructure in a bridge? And I guess the answer is
Probably.
but what would you have to do to protect it from the brackish water, the freezing and thawing, the wetting and drying cycles? And I think Hailey,
The
you
cars,
said,
the trucks, the...
well, the continuous load, like you said it earlier, I mean, you're going to have to put a whole bunch of weatherproofing on it. There's a lot of collateral that you're going to have to add, bells and whistles that you're going to have to add to it to make it stronger and last longer. What else do we worry about when we're talking about sustainability, especially for this size of a structure?
Well, I will say a few good things about timber sustainability in regards to a building material is the fact that it's lightweight, it grows, so it's essentially a renewable resource, and it absorbs carbon dioxide.
How many years does it take to rejuvenate a forest?
A lot.
Okay, how many years? And I just asked such a general question. How many years does it take to rejuvenate a forest after we've built a bridge of this size?
Right. Yeah.
Then the next question is, well, if concrete's so great, how do you get past the sustainable approach? Because concrete you can't grow. Can't grow.
Right.
Can't grow rocks. Can you grow rocks? It takes a long time.
Yeah.
Takes a long, whether religious or scientific, it's either 4,000 years or 4 million years.
Something like that.
Billion? So it's a long time, longer than we have.
Forever and ever.
Right. And I guess we could take some CO2, combine it with some calcium, make some calcium carbonate, and eventually make rock out of that. That's a good idea. Somebody used that idea. There's a free idea for you. But it turns out that using concrete as the sustainable or recycled option happens to be more sustainable than chopping down an entire forest to build 1, 2, or 3 bridges. Right? Can you go into that a little bit?
I don't know if that's true. No, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I would have to see
I love being
numbers.
told I'm my point that I was making is not about the numbers itself. It's the general concept that pulling out a forest takes 20, 40, maybe 100 years to reproduce, right? So granted, that is the more sustainable option. But if I need to build a bridge out of something, we need to take so many trees out that we might come to the point that the 20 to 100 years might exhaust all of our resources, at least in our lifetime.
Right.
That being said, even if we recycle wood, is there enough wood to be recycled to build us this type of a bridge? That being said, if we take the same approach, try to take the sustainable option with concrete, there are so many pavements out there that we can recycle in lieu of tearing out. When we drive down Highway 83 or Briargate going towards the Academy, Air Force Academy, there's a side of the Rocky Mountains that has been removed.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the shadow of where it used to be.
And on my way to Idaho Springs, there's a huge quarry.
I think, yeah, that's on 70.
70, yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Massive.
And the steps and
It's so deep. Like, they're literally cutting mountain away.
okay, so granted, we can get a lot of trees grown in 100 years. I don't know if it's enough trees, but with the amount of concrete that we have that is in landfills, we can reuse that concrete to make more concrete.
Right.
Empty out our landfills, don't have to worry about pulling trees out of forests. Yes, we have to make some cement, but there are so many supplementary cementitious materials out there all over the world, as well as pond ashes. If we're really trying to go after the sustainable approach, the better question is, what can we do now to create such a sustainable effort with concrete that we don't have to look at these ridiculous options? Like, can we make a bridge out of trees?
I will say, quick side note, I'm being the devil's advocate and John's getting a little pissy.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no.
Is that I do think it's
My
really...
lips are chapped. Sorry,
I'd be pissed too.
I'm
I'm just kidding. I do think it's really important to consider the location and purpose
Right.
of the structure,
Right.
because while we are proving the efficacy of using concrete homes to prevent wildfires,
Mhm.
concrete homes may be a great option. We're not telling everybody to build their homes out of concrete and just forget about timber because it's silly. We're saying they're not viable, it's not a viable replacement.
I think building any type of structure, unless it's a flute or a chair from timber, is stupid.
I'm not
And you
going
should
that far,
build
but-
it out of concrete. I do. I don't see concrete as a sustainable, renewable resource. Or
Timber.
Timber, thank you. Wow. Freudian slip. I don't see timber as a renewable resource. With 3D printed concrete structures, with the things that we've been able to do with recycled concrete aggregate, crushed concrete aggregate, even the nastier municipal waste and the pond ash wastes, it's almost, I would almost say it's a crime to use timber to build structures these days. Single story, multi-story construction, you're building with strength, you're building for long-term durability. I mean, come on. Everything that we set aside, this is my closing argument. The fire of 1906, if we could turn back time, forget the fire of 1906, how about the fire of 2018? If we can go back, all those homes that have burned down, lives lost, families lost, money lost.
Killed.
If we can turn back the clocks and build some of those timber homes out of concrete, what do we do with those forest fires? Do we speed them up or do we slow them down at a minimum?
We slowed them down at a minimum.
What's the best case scenario?
Stop them.
Now, what about if we build a bridge that is crossing a river over two forests out of timber or concrete? What's the better flipping option?
Right.
Build with strength, build with concrete.
Yeah, word. Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.